Welcome to the WanderLearn podcast. I'm your host, Tapon. In this episode, I interviewed the mayor of Burlingame, California, Donna Colson. She's running for re-election in 2019, and I asked her about what is life like as the mayor. What does she do all day long? What is it like to sit on the city council? What do they do? Who knows? Well, we'll find out. Now, do you want to take a life-changing travel adventure, but you either hate planning or you don't know where to start? Tour Radar is a trusted online marketplace that helps you find, compare, and book multi-day tours that will expand your horizons through life-enriching travel experiences. And now, WanderLearn listeners can visit Tour Radar for a chance to win $1,000 in travel credits. Go to tourradar.com/WanderLearn for your chance to win. Again, that's tourradar.com/WanderLearn to get $1,000 in travel credits, or at least the chance to win. And now, enjoy my interview with the mayor of Burlingame, California. Welcome to the WanderLearn podcast. I'm your host, Tapon. In this episode, I have the mayor of Burlingame, California, Donna Colson. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
So you're running for re-election, and we're going to try to stuff the ballots for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's really good. And, the Manchurian candidate for Hillsborough.
That's right. There's a lot of things that people, I don't know, can we say jack shit in this interview? Yes, we can.
Sure. I'm good with it.
I don't know jack shit about local politics and that kind of stuff. I really don't. Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't. And so I thought, even though a lot of people who will be listening to this are nowhere near Burlingame, California, they face similar issues, whether in Minnesota, and et cetera, or even in another country. Okay, so let's start off with the whole idea of why did you get involved in public service? You used to have a real life. You actually earned a real paycheck.
Yeah.
And you gave it up for poverty wages, basically, for the mayor. I mean, you guys get paid how many pennies?
We get paid about $600 a month, so $5,000 a year. Woo,
smoking.
Woo. Yeah, you're making a ton of money. You're doing it for the money.
And this is Burlingame, California, one of the richest cities in America as far as income, right?
Yeah.
That the average income here is not $600 a month.
No, it's like $92,000 per
a year. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so then why the hell, what was going through your mind, Donna?
Yeah, you my husband asks me that question all the time, for sure, 100%. Well, I had worked for 27 years in the real world, in the business world, finance, doing all kinds of fun things, traveling everywhere, got my 1,000,000 miles on United Airlines. And, the guys I was working for retired, so I decided to retire as well. My husband's a few years younger than me, and I said, hey, this is how it's going to be. I'm going to go first. And it's a lot traveling. And my kids were in high school, so I felt like it was time to stay home and spend a little more time with them. Well, it took about 3 months of Mom being around more. I have a small business in town, so I was attending to that. And then my kids were like, hey, Mom, you need a job. Little did they know that the job that I would get would be running for city council. So,
but hold on, take a step back. Before that, I think the light bulb that went off in your head, you were doing some sort of fundraiser?
Yeah, well, so what we were doing is I was working for I was on the Park and Rec Commission. I was also doing work for the Community Foundation, and I had just been involved in the schools and in the city for all of, at that time, 18 years that I had lived here. And what happened was, one of the existing people on city council, a woman named Ann Keegren, and a couple of them actually, and Ricardo Ortiz, kind of both came to me and said, hey, you've been on the planning commission, you've done all this work, why don't you consider running for council? And I said, are you kidding me? There's no way. There's no possible way I'm going to do that. It's a ton of work, and everybody's, mad at you all the time. So why would I do it? And then, I sat down, I talked to my family and my girls and my husband, and my husband's like, you have trained your whole entire life for this job. You have a background in affordable housing and in budgets and pensions. Your dad's a civil engineer, so you understand how cities get put together, the physical elements of it. You've been involved in sports, youth sports, schools, everything. You have been in training for this. You ought to do it. And so once my kids decided it was better to have me micromanaging my own political career rather than their college application, there it was. So, I think In my case, it wasn't like, oh, there's something really wrong with Burlingame and I need to run, which I think is how a lot of people get started. Something
Didn't
aggravates
Clint
them.
Eastwood start that way?
He did too, yeah.
I think Clint Eastwood was pissed off because of some sort of, I can't remember what the hell.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
remember what it was?
Yeah, no, well, it could have been water down there in Carmel. It
some
could have been a
issue
million
that
and one
irritated
things.
him.
Development,
Yeah.
you know, the big issues are usually development, mismanagement of finances, maybe a lot of criminal activity. There's, you know, a million things that people kind of get rallied around one little cause and then they tend to run. So for me, it was a more holistic approach in that I really just loved Burlingame and I loved the people that I worked with. And I thought, well, maybe it's, you know, maybe this actually is something that I could take all these skills that I've built up over 27 years, 30 years, and I could actually do some good with them. So it was really more of a philanthropic and a desire to really work with some amazing colleagues that were already on the council, as well as great staff, and then just bring my skill set to bear in the city if the voters would have me.
Now, Donna, most people use the word politician as an insult
Oh,
or
yeah.
as a bad word.
Yeah.
I can't remember. The approval rating of Congress is like 11% or something like that.
Yeah.
Basically, if you want to insult somebody, call them a politician.
Oh yeah, and I've been called that before. Like it's
I'm
so
sorry.
no. It's so funny. People have written about other things that I was working on, and they've said, and we're really mad about this. And did you know she's a politician? And they never like just write it with an exclamation point. It's like exclamation point. It's like
Italics.
and it's like big capital bold letters, politician.
Right.
So yeah, there is a really negative connotation, I think, for most politicians.
Now it seems like the typical politician image is that it's some egomaniac who is, because we get this from, I suppose, from the highest levels of government.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so there's a percentage of politicians, I think, even at the highest levels of government, even those who are running for president, who are truly in it for the public service. Mm-hmm. And then some are truly for just stroking their ego. Mm-hmm. And of course, most of them are a combination, maybe 80-20 or whatever. Mm-hmm. What can you say a little bit about that? And do you need to have a big ego to run at the highest levels of government? And
well, I think you need to have very thick skin to run at the highest levels of government and even at the low levels. You know, it's really unfortunate because I think a lot of really smart and wise people could be running for elected office and would be interested in it, but the sort of social media and the kind of bullying and mean-spiritedness that tends to go on in local politics, not local and all the way up, deters a lot of people from going. So, you have to have done something like coach kids sports or something like that has given you really thick skin, or maybe been involved with the schools. And maybe even just worked in the real work world where, in my job, I had to sometimes go in and tell people, we've lost a lot of your money. The market's down and your money, money's been gone. And that's hard to do to people. And, it'll come back. But, it's all of those kind of hard business decisions and negotiations that kind of prepare you to step into this role. But as far as like ego or whatever, I would say at the local level, my experience here on the peninsula is that on the whole, pretty much everyone that I have met is really in it because they care about their community and implicitly care about their community. And they may be, and we're pretty diverse on the peninsula. It's a lot of women, a lot of minorities, people that have been involved in the community for years, on average 10, 15, 20 years. So I actually think here on the peninsula, people do it because they actually really care about making a difference in their community.
I don't even know if you're a Republican or a Democrat, and it doesn't even seem to matter to people at the local level what party you are in, or maybe you're a Libertarian or Green Party or who knows. And yet at the national level, there's huge partisanship. And so why is it that at the local level, at least here in this part of the world, it doesn't seem to be that people are so obsessed about what tribe you're from?
Right. So the first good thing is that all of these school board seats and city council seats, they're nonpartisan seats. So you don't have to run as a Republican, Democrat, or an independent or whatever. You just run. And your party really doesn't come out in any way. It actually, the only way you would know what party someone might be is if they got an endorsement from that party. So take me, for example. I'm a no political party. I'm an NPP. And so you won't.
You're not independent?
No, I'm just.
So what's the difference?
So the independent party is its own party.
There's a party
There's
called
a
independent?
party called the American Independent Party.
Who knew?
Yeah, there is. There is.
As Donald Trump once said, who knew?
Who knew? That's it. Who knew? There is. And in fact, I think Gavin Newsom's actually trying to create, say somehow that they have to change their name in order to register to vote or something in this upcoming election, because it's a small sliver, but they're kind of swing voters. So it's really interesting. But I am in what is essentially the second largest party in California, which is no political party or no political preference, NPP. And we're bigger than the Republican Party. We're just a little bit smaller than the Democratic Party. And there are people like me who I don't really affiliate with one party or another, because I'm really here for the people of Burlingame and to do what's best for Burlingame. And sometimes those things like really fiscally conservative and making sure that we keep our finances in line and monitoring any taxes that we put in place, those are very Republican ideals. And, but socially, trying to bring in more affordable housing and trying to help and lift up the very most vulnerable in our community, those are very Democratic Party kind of ideals. So in a lot of ways, at the local level, if you want to mesh a lot of those characteristics together, and I just don't particularly want to be beholden to any party, and I'm not running for higher office down the road right now, so I don't really need an affiliation.
So why can't we do this also? This sounds all great and fabulous. Mm-hmm. Why can't we do this at the national level?
Why isn't there a third party?
Or like an NPP, whatever it's called.
Just,
why can't NPP be the biggest party in America?
Yeah, you would wonder, right?
On the national level.
Yeah, I think most people, if you ask them, they're like in the middle of the bell curve, right? They're pretty.
Sure.
They're
by
pretty
definition
socially.
Yeah.
They're pretty liberal socially, pretty fiscally conservative. They try to blend it all together.
And certainly in the coast. Yeah.
I agree, but the problem I think is really that when you get to the party level, you get very extreme positions from the parties, and so. The Republican Party tends to be a little more extreme. The Democratic Party, the people that run those parties are on the more extreme end. And in California, I don't think you see it that much, because basically you cannot run for higher office in California, really hardly at all, at least in the Bay Area, if you're not a Democrat. I don't know when the last time a Republican has won anything in the Bay Area.
Right. And only at the governor level have we had Duke Majan and
Pete Wilson,
Arnold Schwarzenegger was a Republican officially.
Right.
So
yeah, I think what you get are like what I would call like 50 shades of Democrat. So you have the mod Dems, which are like the moderate Dems, and then you have like the socialist, social progressive Dems. So you do have like factions within the Democratic Party along the spectrum, and you can pretty quickly figure out, are people business friendly, are they not, and you just kind of have to analyze like that. But it makes it really difficult to distinguish.
Now, do you think there's any way to there's a lot of talk on the media about how partisan things have become at the national level. And I know you're not in the national politics, but you obviously analyze this stuff. Is it really, some people say, well, it's really not that different from 100 years ago or 200 years ago. We were fighting tooth and nail. It's just that
Democrats are now Republicans and Republicans are now Democrats. Like
or
it's
something
sort of
like
switched.
Exactly. Right.
Lincoln was a Republican.
Right. Exactly. Things like that. So, and you just look at the UK and other democracies where they can go.
There's 10 different parties, right?
Right. And there's all sorts of tribalism that goes on there too. So in some ways, is this time really that different is my kind of one question. And if it is different, if it is really so crazy and tribal, then is there a way out of this? Because it seems on the local level, Donna, that we have found a semi-solution. It doesn't look like you guys are too tribal.
Yeah, no, we're not. We're actually, we all.
So why can't we bring that to the national level?
You would wonder. And I'm not sure why we can't. I mean, I always ask the question of why don't we have more parties, viable parties? You're right. If you go into any other country in the world, there are usually multiple parties, and you have to really work collaboratively with these different parties in order to get anything done, because everybody's a minority, essentially. Right. And we don't have that here, and it's because the both Democratic and the Republican parties are just very strong. They're very well funded. They have a lot of backers and a lot of financial backers. So I think you're probably not going to see new parties emerge. But what I think the key is sort of capturing that moderate middle. I think those voters often feel disenfranchised and that they don't have a home, and you can see it. And whether it's a pro-life Democrat, or who can't fit into their party, they can't figure out how to fit in sometimes, or it's a Republican who has a lot of interest in social issues or environmentalism, for example. So it's really hard to carve out these space in these two parties. So I think that's why you're seeing NPP grow. I hope that that as this younger generation of voters, which is, I'm looking at all the voter rolls and I'm seeing who's registering as what. And a lot of young voters are designating no party preference. So maybe as these young voters come up and start to engage, they're going to be really issue oriented. They're going to care about guns, gun safety. They're going to care about the environment. They're going to care about things like tobacco and vaping. And they're going to make sure that they're going to be, I think, more singularly issue focused: housing, equity, those social justice. And so, over time, I think the parties might change. And maybe they'll need to adapt in order to bring these middle people into the fold a little more.
And now for a 30-second word from our sponsor. Do you want to take a life-changing travel adventure, but you either hate planning or you don't know where to start? TourRadar is a trusted online marketplace that helps you find, compare, and book multi-day tours that will expand your horizons through life-enriching travel experiences. Just type in a region you've always wanted to visit or your preferred travel style, and TourRadar will do the rest. And right now, WanderLearn listeners can visit TourRadar for a chance to win $1,000 in travel credits. Enter at tourradar.com/WanderLearn. That's tourradar.com/WanderLearn. Now, back to the show. Another big mystery for me is the day in the life of the mayor, of a mayor. Like, what, you get up in the morning, maybe you shower, I don't know. But at some point, maybe you brush your teeth.
Do I smell or something across the street? Can you smell that?
Right. So, but at some point you got to head up to the office.
Sure.
Wherever the hell that is, City Hall probably.
Yeah.
And then what do you do? Does the phone start ringing off the hook? There's a pothole here, Mayor. I got to go fix that. What do you do all day long, Donna?
Yeah.
We're paying you a lot of money.
You pay me a ton of money and you own me for that. So, my morning usually starts, much to the chagrin of my husband, with me laying in bed and perusing my email. First of all, I'm usually reading. My favorite thing to read in the morning is Cal Matters, which is all the legislation that's coming in from California. And it's a great nonprofit organization that does an electronic newsletter. And you can hop on there and just read everything about what's going on, all the bills, what's going on in the Assembly, the Senate, the governor. And so I like to start off like kind of getting an update. And then I move into checking. I have all my emails stratified by what they are. So first thing I go to is my city email and check out what's going on there. And usually I have one or two constituents that are trying to reach out to me on a whole array of issues. And they could be traffic, safety. It could be, maybe the way they didn't like the way they were treated somewhere along the way by someone in one of our departments. So they're calling to get assistance in solving a problem. That's a very, very rare occurrence in our city, because generally our departments do really, really well working with people and solve a lot of problems. We have a terrific staff, but on occasion something might happen and, someone's upset. So I'll usually peruse through, and then I get about 100 invitations a day. Could you speak here? Could you go there? Could you do this? Could you do that? I mean,
100 invitations.
I would say
dozens.
maybe it's a
Dozens.
dozen a day,
Yeah.
100 in a week. It wouldn't be, and it's all kinds of things. Can you come speak to the Boy Scouts? We're having a lemonade stand. We'd love the mayor to come by. We have the Palestinian Day, we need you up at the temple for a 25-year celebration.
And you're just a mayor. Can you imagine what it is to be like a senator or whatever?
Remember, Johnson said, I'm really happy I was elected president because I could have woken up and instead been a mayor. Yeah, right. And
this is Lyndon B. Johnson.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And he said, "Thank God I wasn't a mayor. I only had to be the president." And I think that's true. I mean, that's why, someone with executive experience, whether it's a mayor or like Pete Buttigieg, that's why he's doing so well. I think he has a lot of good executive experience. And so governors, mayors, people who've actually run the business of government, I think make good higher elected officers oftentimes.
Wow, I can't even imagine 10 people a day asking you to speak somewhere.
Yeah, so you get all these speaking invitations. I went through 1,000 cards so far this year.
How do you
How do you prepare?
How do you decide
what to do?
I mean,
I make
you
sure
could spend your whole life giving speeches.
You could. So I try to balance it. I try to make sure that, I have...
Maybe you ask, what's the buffet like?
Usually,
what kind of food are you
what
serving
kind of food
there?
are you
Is
serving?
there alcohol?
No, the best ones that I go to, that I've been to lately, are because we're in the season of a lot of the Chinese, the lunar moon, the Luna season and things like that. And I go to some of them that literally no one speaks English. I'm the only person who speaks English.
Those are the ones you like.
And all day long, all I hear, and then I hear Mayor Donna Colson, and I know that's my cue to get up and go to the stage. And then unfortunately, I don't have Google Translate in my head, so I usually have to have someone translate for me. But they're all fun, and everybody is so appreciative to have anyone from the council show up. And so we try to go to everything that we can and just be the face of Burlingame.
And let's pause about that, because I don't know what percentage of the cities in America have such a wacky system like Burlingame, where the council rotates as the mayor. So you are not actually elected as mayor.
Yes, that's
You're
true.
elected on the city council, and then the council members rotate every 4 years.
Well,
every year,
every single year.
Yeah,
so
every year.
In December, we have we have our rotation, and the mayor rotates off and just goes back to being a regular council person.
4 council members.
So there's 5 council members.
5 council members. And
So
they
there's
each spend a year as mayor.
1 year as vice mayor, 1 year as mayor. So you get training wheels, which is good.
Vice mayor.
The vice mayor training wheels.
So vice mayor goes to a lot of funerals?
The vice mayor gets to back up everything the mayor can't do. So it works really well. So it's a very civilized approach, right?
Which is fascinating.
It's very,
so
very
what
civilized.
percentage, Donna? I mean, you probably don't know this, but what percentage of cities in America, towns, that have such a weird system?
Well, on the peninsula, the only elected mayor is San Bruno. So the mayor of San Bruno is elected 20 cities on the
20 cities in the peninsula.
So we have
Only one where the people elect the mayor directly.
It's really a big city phenomenon. So Mayor Breed, you have
Breed is the San Francisco mayor.
Yes. So she would be elected. You have San Jose, Oakland. All of those mayors are generally elected. They're very, big cities, over 100,000
New
people.
York.
All have elected mayors. In our little cities, it's just easier to do a rotation.
Would you happen to know if it's the same thing in, let's say, Nebraska or?
I don't know, but you know what's really interesting? One of our constituents is going to Burlingame, Kansas this week. And we're both named after Anson Burlingame. They're a town of 600 people, very rural, and they're taking along a beautiful book. They're taking a letter from me. And so we're going to learn. We're going to find out what they do in Burlingame, Kansas, and see how that might be the same.
So maybe
or similar.
you don't know if they are directly elected
I don't
mayor,
know if they do or
but
not.
at least in this neck of the country, it seems that if you're not a big city, you'll have this kind of rotating council thing.
Yes.
So imagine, if you will, I don't know, what's an analogy? Like you elect.
Well, it's like the
in
CEO
America,
of the company rotating, right? Like the chairman of the board of a company just rotates.
How long has this been in place?
Oh, it's been in place. I'm the 50th mayor of Burlingame, and it's been in place
50 years?
Well, as long as I can remember, there may have been a day when the mayor was elected. And there's some historical people here in town that I know would know that answer, but I'm not really sure. But I think it's a very reasonable thing because, first of all, it balances power out. And really the only extra duties you do, so the mayor tends to respond on behalf of the council to all these incoming emails. So you respond, people can respond directly, but generally we respond. So somebody's upset or angry about a pothole or whatever, we'll respond on behalf of the council, then individuals can go in. We are kind of the figurehead. We get invited to a lot of these events and things, ribbon cuttings and all that.
Have you gained weight from all the food that you've been eating?
Gosh, it's the opposite. Stressful. It's very stressful. It gives you gray hair for sure. And then, the other thing is the mayor does have agenda setting privileges, and there are really important votes about things like transit, where we put, there might be 6 people throughout the county from different cities that want to take a seat on a countywide transit commission. And so, for example, the mayors would vote that in. So the mayor does have a little bit of extra authority. In our town, we generally all kind of think similarly a little bit. So it's not like it's a big contested thing. But we give each other the courtesy of sort of, making sure that we check in around a couple of those things. We might put them on an agenda, for example.
So even though you were vice mayor, there must have been some things, and you were training on your training wheels before you became the mayor. Something must have shocked you or surprised you once you actually stepped into those mayor shoes and you filled it in.
Yes.
What surprised you? Maybe many things. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, one thing.
Like, what's in this closet? I never knew. Yeah, here are the nuclear codes for Burlingame.
Yes. No, there aren't any of those. But, what did, well, first of all, I just have to say my training wheels came with I had a great, someone pushing me on the back really well. And that was Mayor Michael Brownrigg. So I was very fortunate to get to be the vice mayor under him. And he really took me under his wing, and he brought me to a lot of meetings, and he really indoctrinated me into the world of what I was going to be getting into. And I really appreciated that. We had an excellent working relationship. So I was very fortunate to have a 2-time mayor mentor, and Ann Keegren has been mayor 4 times. So, that what I would say has surprised me is the high level of engagement of the citizens of Burlingame. And it's a pleasant surprise. There's a lot.
They're not all apathetic like me?
No. They actually come, they write in, they meet. I probably have, maybe 5 to 10 constituent meetings a week. Just people who need to talk to me about whatever it may be. They bought a home. They didn't know it was historic. They're trying to add on an accessory dwelling unit. They're trying to remodel. They're trying to figure something out. They have a small business. They want to get on a board or a commission. They don't know how to do it. So, just the amount of time that we spend engaging our citizens is way more than I thought. And it's wonderful. It's a great benefit of our city.
And one of the things that I think you told me once, and I confirmed this, you don't even have an assistant who goes through your email.
No. This is why I wake up at 4 a.m. and start going through my email. This is why I sleep only 3 hours. People go, wait, you answered me at 1 and then again at 5. I'm like, yes. So no, it's, we don't. The good news is we do have, the city of Burlingame has an amazing staff. Our city manager, Lisa Goldman, absolutely, rock solid. And it's a really interesting staff. It's a lot of women, frankly. We have a very diverse staff, women, minorities. We have gay, lesbian. We kind of have it all in Burlingame. So we're really fortunate that it's super diverse and that these people are very committed to the city. Some of them commute as far as Livermore to come and work for us, which we're really, really, I know our head of public works, he's amazing. And most of them live locally, but we're such a good city to work for that people are willing to commute quite a ways. So I don't have a staff per se of my own, but I have an amazing staff that does research, writes reports, helps me organize the agenda and the calendars, can print letters off for us and things like that. So we're really, really fortunate in that regard.
Are you fortunate with your fundraising? Because one thing that a lot of people talk about at the highest level, at the congressional levels and the presidential level, national levels, that kind of stuff, is that they spend an inordinate amount of time fundraising. Like some estimates of like 60, 70, 80% of their time fundraising, which seems incredibly stupid and a waste of time. And yet, so what about here at the local level? What percentage of your time, when you're not going to these events that you get 10 invitations a day, what percentage of the time do you spend fundraising?
So when I'm not in campaign mode, I spend 0 time fundraising.
And that could not be said at the congressional level.
No.
Or what about the governor of
These people are fundraising like almost all the time. Wow. And in Congress,
so Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, is fundraising while we're having this nice chat.
I'm sure that they spend a lot of time. And in Congress, you have to remember they run every 2 years. Right. So so I'd say once a year they have a big fundraising event, whether they're running or not. And then there's just a lot of kind of constant, right now with presidential elections too, there's just constant fundraising going on, constant. So, California and the Bay Area is really sort of the Democratic Party's ATM. And so we're getting people coming in all the way from New York to do fundraising here.
Probably the Republicans too. It's
the Republicans in the Bay Area a little bit, but not quite as much as of late.
But California.
But California for sure.
We do have Republicans.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And we have wealthy people. So for sure, right. For sure people come out here and fundraise. No doubt Trump spends time out here, and people in the Republican Party spend significant time out here, and the candidates do. But overall, I would say proportionally it's more on the Democratic side. But the good news about these local elections is, you can run one on, $20,000 to $30,000. They're not high. You have to do a mailer or two. You have some lawn signs, which is one of mine's over here. But like for me, being the green girl that I am, I recycled my lawn signs. So I saved them from last time, and then I just stuck a sticker. I stuck a sticker on them. And so that saved me a lot of money and a lot of landfill. Right. And, so you have a few, you have some things like that. You have some mailers, you have a few things you got to get out. But overall, and we have limits on our fundraising here. So we have, you can't write a check bigger than around $688, one person. And for a business, it's around $1,300. So generally, like for someone like me, most of my checks are $25 to, $500-$600, and the bulk of them are in that smaller range. And, like 150 people might donate to my campaign in the course of, maybe 2 months. So it's sort of like we send out the call like, hey, we need to do a little bit of fundraising. And then it's a little bit like Christmas. You go to the mailbox every day, and very lovely people in Burlingame who know that they need to support you and want to be there for you and know how much you're doing for them, send them in a lot of times with really cute little like, go Donna, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for all you do. So it's a very hometown kind of homespun sort of grassroots effort.
What would you say is, we got to wrap it up, but I want to,
I haven't told you the most fun thing in the day of the life of the mayor, though.
Oh, yeah, please.
So let me tell you what I did 2 days ago.
All right.
We had a turtle rescue.
Wait, I think you might have told me.
I had a turtle rescue.
Okay, I heard about the story. So where was the turtle?
So the turtle was crossing the street.
Which street?
So he was actually not in Burlingame. I was going to an event down in Menlo Park called the Council of Cities lunch.
Which is about 20 miles away.
Yeah, and we were driving, and I was driving along, and all of a sudden, big busy road, turtle running in the middle of the road. So
and the mayor of Menlo Park was not available.
Nowhere to be found. And the police department, they couldn't get there fast enough. So we had to stop the car. We had to get out. We had to stop all the traffic.
But But this is not because, I mean, you could have done this whether you're mayor or not.
I
right?
could have done it, but you know what? As mayor, I felt ultra responsible for the turtle.
Yes.
I did. And so, I think it's part of being mayor is there's a lot of animal love in being mayor.
Yes.
So you get a lot of pictures with cute little dogs and kittens and puppies and a lot of
Babies are so last century.
Babies are last century in Burlingame. You get a few kids, but you get more animals. So one of the great things about being part of, being involved in Burlingame is you do take a lot of pictures with people. They're really cute. They want to do it. But yeah, and in election season, there's just a ton of.
Do you have an Instagram account?
I do. It's not great.
Okay, but I mean, that's where you should feature your turtle shots.
I have my turtle shots. So I'm going to feature it in my newsletter that you've helped me write.
Okay,
so.
That's right. Very good.
This newsletter is going to be all about the animals of Burlingame that support Donna.
Okay, great. Well, Donna, I wish you the best for re-election. Any last favors that you should ask for the people besides their vote, but whether they're living in Florida or in Bulgaria, what would you
I would say do not skip your local elected officials. They work very hard for you. They don't get paid, most of them. And I would say take the time to get to know your local electeds. And when there's, and don't just vote in big presidential or gubernatorial races. We are getting our elections on to the even years, off the odd and onto the even. So more participation, we'll have more democratic participation. But I would say that if you look around and think about who is going to make a difference in your life, who can help you with the stop sign or the crosswalk or reduce greenhouse gas emissions in your neighborhood, who can help you with the new park, the new community center, your library, your schools, it's your local elected officials who impact your day 80 to 90% more than the governor or the president or even your state senator. So don't forget them. Don't skip them. Take the time to learn who they are and make sure you cast a responsible ballot for a person who aligns with you and your heart and your ambitions.
And that concludes this episode of the WanderLearn podcast, where we explore travel technology and transformation. If you'd like to see the show notes with links to what we talked about, or if you'd like to comment on the show, or if you'd like to ask me a question, then go to wanderlearn.com and click on this episode. Would you like to win $1,000 in travel credits? Visit tourradar.com/WanderLearn to enter this amazing contest. TourRadar is a WanderLearn sponsor, and we want you to travel beyond your comfort zone. So visit tourradar.com/WanderLearn to enter this $1,000 contest. If you'd like to connect with me, just remember Tapon. That's my first initial and my last name. Tapon is the username I use on all social media. You can also get to my website by going to Tapon. Now here's one more reason to remember Tapon. If you like what I do and want to get rewarded for supporting my projects, then go to patreon.com/Tapon. That's where you can pick up some sweet rewards for as little as $1 a month. Now here's 5 quick favors I ask from you. Number 1, subscribe to the WanderLearn podcast. 2, download it. 3, share it. 4, review it. And 5, sign up for my newsletter at ftapon.com. Our theme music was composed by Eric Stratman. This is Francis Tapon, encouraging you to wander and learn.